John Stehlin joining us.
Oh,
Welcome
yes.
in, John. We know probably out of anybody in this place, you were closest with Emily, especially on air. And we've all been kind of saying, okay, this is uplifting today. We're going to celebrate
I told you not to start.
Emily.
But listen,
Yes.
you guys laughed together, and when I posted some things to my social media, so
my
many
gosh.
times people would comment.
do it.
The 7 o'clock, they love the 7.
Yes,
And
they
the
do.
laughing.
Yes.
And they love the chemistry that you
Yes.
two had. What was it about Emily that made you laugh?
Everything. Everything. She just did things that I'm going to say. I'm going to be honest. Some days I just called her a man. I was just like, because she would just tell you off and tell you what
Yeah,
you said.
she would.
Yeah.
I mean, she was very direct with people, and I was like, dude, you're such a man.
Well,
you know, but that was the thing. She and I had the same sense of humor.
Yes, which is naughty. And that's the
Yes.
thing. When we're inviting so
Very
many of
naughty.
these guests, we're all like, okay, what stories can I tell about Emily on
Yes.
air and
Yes.
which ones do I have to keep off air? But
You
that
know,
was Emily.
The things that you saw on air are obviously the clean. And if you looked at my my post that I made, that she sent me a text. Her last text was extremely un-TV worthy, you know, and I thought it was funny. We just had we saw things the same way. We agreed on the way the news should be presented, and even when we disagreed, we'd yell at each other. We were like brother and sister, you know. You were asking me earlier, it's like, when did I first, you know, when I first started here, it was weekends. I didn't see Emily, and she worked days and I worked nights, so and she wasn't on the anchor desk and all that. But it was about the time when I saw her in tall ships doing live reports from the tall ship. I was like, she is good live.
Yes.
I mean, people at home, you don't understand. Like, going live TV
it's hard.
is really hard, and for you to, like, you sat there and you watched her, you felt like you were on the boat with her.
Yeah.
Ship. You were on the ship with her. So that's when I saw it. But we talked and we did this and jab, but it really bloomed several years ago when we started that 7 o'clock show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really did. You know, when I first met her, of course, I had already been here for a little while when she came as an overnight producer, and I worked with her a little bit here or there. And she had such a tough exterior that I was just a little intimidated by her at first, which is funny because she's quite a bit younger than I am, but she has such a soft inner side too.
Oh, absolutely.
And so she would toss all this great stuff out, but you knew she didn't really mean it.
No,
you know?
exactly, and that's kind of like me too. People,
yes.
and like she was the female version of me the male version of her.
Maybe that's it.
I think
Yeah,
that
no,
it
it really
is.
is, because
Yeah.
if you think about it, she will say the same thing. But the
Yes.
thing is, she's probably a little bit more subtle on the things where I'm pretty more
Yeah.
direct.
Yeah.
What was it?
And you guys left so much room in your 7 for that banter, right? I mean, people loved that.
Exactly. When she took over the 7, you know, we went there and it was a traditional newscast, you know, news, weather, sports, and you know, she was like, let's do the trend. She always wanted me to read with her, and like, I can't stand reading the prompter.
Right.
If you know weather people, we don't use prompters.
No,
so for me
everything's ad-libbing.
Yeah, we ad-lib everything. So when seeing that, I'm like, oh, okay. And so we did that, and then like one day, I think we just said, okay, and I don't know what the story was, but we just were laughing and laughing and laughing, and then it just, you know, he said something, we said, let's change the show a little bit. Let's make this the news. If you turned into the first segment, you got your news, you got your weather. You got her news straight until I came in on weather, because sometimes I would comment on the story she was reading. But then the trend came about. It's like, let's just have fun for the rest of the show.
Yeah.
And we always said after the first segment, oh, this show is going downhill. We always said that. We're like, why are people watching this? We don't understand. But then
But it
people
was those
started
personalities.
watching.
Did watch it.
Yeah, and we stopped reading the script, and then we just started talking about stories and personal things, and she would mispronounce words like Bogota, and I was like, Bogota? I said Bogota? And she goes, yeah, she goes, the capital of Colombia, Bogota. I go, no, it's Bogota. So we'd have an argument, she didn't believe me. And a lot of times what's really awesome about Emily, she's very smart, to the point, very organized, very detailed. Her shows, she made sure her shows were good. If we had a discussion on a topic, because if you watch the 7, some days I say things, she goes, oh, I didn't know that. She literally would go back, Google it, and find out about it. And then when she came back to Weather Center, we'd have a conversation. So she was always learning.
But you guys did have such a great relationship off air as well, right? I mean, you guys had dinners together.
We did. We ate dinner quite often. She'd always get mad if I brought dinner and I didn't bring something for her. And like, if I made something at home, she goes, well, did you bring me any? I'm like, Emily, you're not the first person I think of to feed. Well, I wasn't. But that's the thing. She taught me the phrase, you buy, I fly.
Yeah.
So I was like, get in your car, I'll buy.
Yeah.
And then some days we just did it after a while where we just go out to, I would go get something to eat, and I know what she wanted to eat. You know, she'll eat crab rangoons and General Tso chicken
yeah.
with romaine. So that's
Okay.
what I go, here, don't ask. And I would leave. And I did that last week actually with her
So
too.
nice.
But yeah, we did that. We were asked to host events. We started hosting events. We'd go to Seawolves game, even that during the summertime. We would just say, you want a $2 hot dog? Let's go.
Well, your otter special too.
Yeah.
That
the
was
Otter
so
Special,
much fun together.
That was
She
fantastic.
loved that. She put that all together. In fact, I remember after I go, that was really good. I was
Yeah.
like, she
Yeah.
put some time into
Yeah.
that.
Well, we're going to have you back at the end
Oh,
of
you
this
don't wanna do the Flo Rida
hour.
one?
I was going to say, do you want to talk about it now, or do you want to save it to the end?
I mean, I have 3 million things.
I know.
Lastly, with the Flo Rida, you all know we were excited.
Yeah.
I mean, for 2-3 weeks when we found out we were introducing Flo Rida, we were like, we were just talking about it. We're trying to find things to wear and all that stuff. And we ended up wearing the same exact clothes, kind of like you two. And the long story short, there's a lot to that night. But the one part of that night was, she goes, all weekend I've been thinking about a line. And I'm like, his song is Our House. And she's like, this is my line. I'm like, okay. And we're behind stage now. And I'm like, okay, what is it? She goes, I'm going to say, you say this, and then I'm going to say, now it's time for Flo Rida to be in our house. And I'm like,
She thought about that all weekend.
all weekend. All weekend.
I like it.
And she's like, I said, can you tell him, can you say it again to me? She's like, welcome Flo Rida to our house. I'm not joking. This is almost imitating her perfectly. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And she's like, oh yeah, I talked to Ryan about it. I was thinking about it Saturday night, and I was doing it. I'm like, okay. So long story short, Flo Rida was an hour and a half late.
Right.
All right. So we went up
That's
there.
Celebrate Erie.
Yeah, we went up there once, welcomed everybody, was very happy and cheered, but he was about 90 minutes late.
Yeah.
So they go, okay, time to go up there. And she's like, oh yeah, our house. Okay. And so we walked up there, and it was my fault, and I apologize to the mayor of the city now, but I built that crowd up. I was like, you've been waiting for this. It's finally here. Boom. And everyone's like, yeah. I go, but first, the mayor of Erie. I didn't do it purposely.
You cut her right out.
No. Well, but I had to introduce the mayor first.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I introduced him, and then everybody booed. Now, they weren't booing the mayor so much. They were booing the fact that we thought it was.
They've been there.
Yeah.
So long story short, they were booing the mayor, and he was just talking. You couldn't hear anything, right? So he gives the mic back to us, because this is where and you couldn't hear anything. And I said, Emily, I was like, we just need to walk off stage. They're not listening to us, because they're booing us still.
Oh, my.
And she goes, no. She took it, and she goes, welcome to our house.
She got her line
She
in.
got her line in, but
Yes.
nobody heard it. It was hilarious.
Oh,
yeah.
yes, John,
Well, you're coming
thanks.
back at the end.
Yeah.